quick note before we start. I use OBS to record footage, and it seems to dislike this game a lot for some reason, and I had some trouble recording it. It messed up the audio, which sounds echoey sometimes, and level 4 was consistently choppy. I couldn't figure out how to fix it, or why it seemed to affect this game in particular so much, but I hope it doesn't hinder your enjoyment of this video. Can you beat Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem without killing any enemies? Siberian Mayhem is a standalone expansion for Serious Sam 4, and uses an updated version of that same engine, so everything that applied to Serious Sam 4 will apply here as well. Namely, the fact that there is no rocket jumping, the playfield is way too big, so we get to do a lot of running, and you can do insane weapon wheel jumps if your frame rate is set to unlimited, and you turn your graphics settings down. Watch my Serious Sam 4 video to learn more about this glitch, since I won't be going over the technical details of it here. I've also explained the rules that I use for the Pacifist challenge many times before in my previous videos, so I'm going to forego a full explanation here. But if you're new to the channel and would like to hear an in-depth reasoning on why I use the rules that I do, give some of my earlier Serious Sam No Kills videos a watch. I will rapid fire through the rule set that I use real quick here, just for a reminder. The kill count must be 0 by the end of the stage, otherwise I go for as few kills as possible. Hurting enemies without killing them is okay, cheats and console commands are not allowed, quick saves and loads are allowed, and glitches are allowed as well. Also for this run today, I will be using Tourist difficulty, as well as the most recent patch of Siberian Mayhem at the time of this recording. Like Serious Sam 4's, the statistics screen doesn't show the maximum number of kills in a level, or keep track of your total kills so far, so I will be manually counting them, and giving a side-by-side comparison with a Serious difficulty 100% run. Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem may only be 5 levels long, but it features a relatively high maximum kill count of approximately 5,687. So, how many of these kills are necessary? Let's find out. And here we go with level 1, A Smell of Petroleum Prevails. And can I just say that Siberian Mayhem is absolutely one of my favorite Serious Sam games. It's definitely top tier, along with the first 2 encounters in my opinion. I love the look and the feel of this game so much. The fights are great, the atmosphere is perfect, and you can tell right off the bat when that first cutscene starts that this game is special, and had so much love and care put into it. Just look at the detail, the water physics, and the way those birds move, but you get the idea. This game is definitely 10 out of 10 for me. Anyway, back to the Pacifist challenge. The first jump we gotta pull off is the most annoying one. Go up to the Gunnar from behind so that it doesn't see you, and stand right around here where the stone starts to angle and looks a little bit white on the edge. Now aim toward the middle to middle right area of the pallet straight ahead and walk forward. Start holding down the weapon wheel, release the forward key, and hold jump. After you rebound from the pallet, release the weapon wheel to go flying. I felt like I had to get a bit lucky on this jump. I had to keep varying my position slightly, and it seemed to work best when I let go of the weapon wheel right around when Sam starts to hit the rock and raise upward. As with other locations where this glitch can be performed, you can go flying pretty large distances, but you'll want to end up on this hill, which is out of bounds, and things get a lot easier from here. Run up the incline and toward the refinery. Find the section where the snowdrifts reach the roof of the facility, and run across the building, through the pipes, and angling left. I drop down and enter into this alley from the starting section of level 2, and run until I reach a wall, drop down through the corner, and then crouch through the following wall. Now I run up the hill to the left, past the silo, and reach this small tank that has some handy stairs built into it, which I utilize to reach the top of the wall, and find myself above the arena that precedes this level's big bounce pad fight. I'm not done skipping everything though, so using the catwalk to the right, I get on the overhead bridge where the Octanians usually spawn, and use the shields to climb onto this roof, and there we go. We can reach the ending trigger without too much trouble, and once more, we successfully beat the first level with 0 kills out of about 539. It's fun going out of bounds here because it feels like an extension of the previous level due to the similar level geometry. It's not even that difficult. First, jump onto the railing straight ahead, and then on top of the retracted bridge section, and from here to the post, and then to the catwalk. From the catwalk, a tight jump will bring you to the top of the conduit spanning over the start area, and then you are free to explore the out-of-bounds areas to your heart's content. To reach the level end trigger from here, keep running along the left side of the starting area, jump down, run past the silo like before, and crouch past this wall. Turn toward the left, and run some more until you see the lights. It's interesting seeing how low quality they are up close. You can reach a landing of sorts at this point, stay on it and don't jump off. Run toward the other low-quality background assets, and this will bring you to this wall that encloses the outskirts of the mech portion of the level. Run along the top of it. There's a lot to see here, like these neat 2D textures and trees growing within the wall. I also found these spheres that reminded me of something.
The ball's hardened.
Past the balls, a fence will begin, and following it will guide you to a set of pipes. I run along the top of them, and this brings me to another fence that I can leap over to get back into bounds. Keep running toward the structures in the distance, and run through yet another fence. The level design begins to reassert itself here, so just make a beeline for the exit. Some enemies will spawn, but ignoring them and touching the trigger will finish the level with 0 kills. Level 3 is huge. I guess it was designed this way to accommodate the areas with the snowmobile and the four-wheeler later on, both of which significantly speed up travel. Unfortunately, to beat the level with minimum kills, I'll have to make the trek on foot. Start by navigating to this white car near the beginning, and crouch walk into the hitbox behind this rear axle of the nearby decrepit truck, while using the weapon wheel. Hold jump, and let go of the crouch and forward key while still keeping the weapon wheel active, and then let that go too after a few seconds. Unlike level 1, this jump is pretty easy and shouldn't give you much trouble. Doing it right will fling you out of bounds in the opposite direction, and now we get to do a long romp in the snow. Something to note is that the normally playable boundary of the level is surrounded by a kill plane around this general area. So if we aren't careful, wandering too close to the sides will result in death, so a particular route must be followed. Keep running straight and down this mountain, and then underneath this water texture. This part is pretty uneventful and consists of about 10 minutes of sprinting forward. There's just not much to say. Avoid straying toward the cliffs I pointed out earlier, and keep moving forward until you see this other water texture. Again, keep away from the sides. If you stay underneath this new water texture, you should be safe. Keep following the river for a few more minutes, and soon you will see a train bridge in the distance, which finally heralds the end of our long safari. The exit trigger is right around the middle, and there are no special conditions to enable it, so all you have to do is run there and enter its area of effect. As you traverse the bridge, Sam spouts this one-liner.
Guess I'll have to walk the rest of the way.
Which becomes incredibly ironic in the context of this Pacifist run. So yeah, just touch the end trigger, and level 3 concludes with a successful 0 kills. Roadside Picnic, the penultimate level, is a bit difficult to attempt Pacifist, because there are an unusually high number of triggers in the latter half of it. Begin by grabbing the secret hoverboard scooter underneath the starting location, but make sure not to use it, since it will be essential in the next level. Now go to this small ridge of rocks near the train car. It might take a few tries, but a running jump will get you to a small piece of geometry you can stand on in the corner. Quick save if you like, and then leap to the left and up to get out of bounds. There is an invisible wall in the middle of the water, and it even extends a bit out of bounds, so I run further along the cliffs to bypass it, and then I cross the river. Loop back uphill on the other side to the train cars, pass underneath this poorly engineered bridge, and keep going in this direction. Again, in order to avoid the invisible wall in the river, you must run some way out. The collision of the water on this side ends around halfway through, so do make sure you are swimming close to the bottom, so you don't fall a great distance and die like I did. Once you are on land, the next objective is to find the tank. Don't venture too far to the right or enemies will spawn. Just aim for slightly left, and the waypoint marker should update after a bit and take you straight to your ride. Now the real shenanigans begin. I want to take this tank away from this area and back towards the start. Find any convenient slope. I used this one, but almost anywhere on the ridge will work. When the tank is tilted upwards at an angle and you boost, the sudden acceleration will propel you into the air. The steeper the slope, the more height you'll get. Whatever method you use to boundary break, as long as you can get the tank to these railroad tracks out of bounds that continue directly straight out from your starting position, that's all that is important. It might look like you can just boost your way to the other half of the map now, but there is actually a strange invisible obstacle that I must contend with here. You see, the tank was not meant to be taken anywhere outside its designated fight, and to try and ensure that, the level designers actually put a thin trigger in this level that spans almost the whole out-of-bounds area, basically splitting the level in two. This trigger detects Sam driving the tank, and if you pass it, this message pops up on your screen and you get forcibly removed from the vehicle and will then be unable to re-enter it. There is a way to bypass this trigger though, and thankfully, it doesn't involve driving 25 minutes to the edge of the map and back. Like I said earlier, the trigger detects Sam driving the tank, but interestingly, the tank alone can slip under the radar. So, how can we send the tank across this area without anyone piloting it? If you guessed boosting off a slope, you'd be correct. Finding the boundary of the trigger by driving into it and then saving a little before it can be helpful. Otherwise, just position yourself at roughly this area. The collision of the trees can also block your takeoff, so shooting a couple of them in your expected trajectory can help to accommodate your flight. When you're ready, position yourself on the rails, boost, and then get out of the tank as quick as you can, hopefully sending it flying far beyond the "you shall not pass" trigger. We are now headed toward the final arena of the game. Start by following the power lines to avoid getting lost. Once you reach this section with the rails, go clockwise around the arena, but don't try to head straight in, because there's a minefield that prevents you from breaking out of bounds around there. It's the same idea as a sandworm in Serious Sam 3, just easier to deal with. Follow this route by the walls instead. You will want to end up at this door. It's a bit glitchy. Boosting into it, driving forward, exiting and re-entering occasionally will eventually get the tank into the arena, which is important for the next part. This final area is an irritatingly complex series of triggers, and they must all be satisfied in order for the exit trigger to become active. We will go over it in more detail, but basically what will happen is that a trigger near the regular entrance to this section must be touched, which will begin a train rolling, and then another trigger across a walkway must be touched. Once these objectives finish, a crane puzzle becomes active, which will allow you to remove some shipping containers from the railroad. If you try and solve this puzzle any earlier, the level will become soft-locked. Once the puzzle is solved, this starts another trigger. Some enemies will spawn. Among them, the major biomechs, Collapses, and Clear in particular, must be defeated. Once they are killed, an event occurs where another train runs down the tracks and more enemies spawn. In order for the level end trigger to activate at this point, you can either shoot all the enemies, which is out of the question for us of course, or you can wait out a fail-safe timer. So, let's begin. First, I take the tank to the shipping containers and move one of them completely out of the way, and move the other one enough that one more good shove will get it out of the way, but don't move it enough to flag the trigger and soft lock the level. You'll know you pushed it too far if you hear let-offs start talking. Park nearby, hop out of the tank, and run toward the entrance. For efficiency, hop the fence and either land on the other side, or at least touch the fence on that side, since the trigger extends that far. You should hear let-off talking at this point. Run out or take the boost pad if you fell, and now enemies will spawn. Try and ignore them. Things have to be done fast now. Run to the tank, push the container out of the way to finish the puzzle event, and then quickly drive to this low garage. Get out of the tank and use it to get onto the roof. It's a bit chaotic, but now do your best to pick off just the red biomechs, the flying Collapses, and the clear skeletons. You'll get a cutscene when this trigger is satisfied, and then be teleported back to the middle of the arena. So, just run back to the tank and get onto the roof again. Now we get to wait out the timer, and since flying drones will drop kamikazes on your ass, you can't wait and hide. You have to run. I found that running a wide circle around the stage diminishes the timer enough where usually it will finish right as you're getting back to the train car. There's no set way to do this. I personally like to go far out to the side, around to the bridge, and the tower, and from there, feel out how much time is left to kill before running to the train car. Just be careful of the minefield right around the tracks. On this far side, re-entry to the arena is possible under this wall and through this little alley. Hop onto the train, and when the timer ends, that finally concludes this level. 97 kills this time out of 1,866. Less is certainly plausible, but it definitely feels like a total that is up to chance more than anything else. And the unavoidable kills here are especially disappointing, considering the kill count you can get in the next and final level. So, a side note to breaking out of this level, like the previous one, the map just outside the play area is surrounded by a minefield that will blow you up should you venture inside. Previous versions of Siberian Mayhem had an oversight, where if you were driving a vehicle, such as a hoverboard scooter, instead of killing you, it would blow your ride up after a few seconds, while leaving you alive in the minefield. You would then have a couple seconds before the mines would try and kill you again. Thus, if you had enough hoverboard scooters, you could just keep equipping them until you were out of the minefield. This was fixed in the most recent patch. The mines blow you up along with the vehicle now, so I had to find an alternate way to break out. This is how I did it. The first part is the most difficult. There is a tiny section on top of the cab of this truck that Sam can stand on, but it's too high to reach normally. So you need to jump into the spikes on this train that will slightly damage you, but they also have that pushback geometry on them. So you need to try and jump into it in such a way that it bounces you up and to the right. There are invisible walls everywhere behind us, so even if a big weapon wheel jump were possible here, I'm not sure how useful it would be. Anyway, once you get on top of the cab, quick save, and now turn around and jump on top of the spikes, and keep jumping across them until you reach the last one. This is easier said than done. When you reach it, quick save again. When standing on the last spike, the next jump you need to make is into the top corner of the upper train walkway. We need to jump here because there is no collision in the corner of the roof, but there's a small problem, because by extension, the floor is missing here too. So the jump is fairly precise. Hop into the top part, and then curve right to land on some solid ground. This whole upper part of the cab is safe, and can be walked on, but the invisible wall from below extends up here as well, so it dead ends in the middle. Passing the wall is easy though. Back all the way into it, use a hoverboard scooter, and dismount. This will push Sam onto the top of the train, and we are almost out of bounds for real now. There are invisible walls blocking us on top of the train as well, and since running around the edge of the train roof won't get us anywhere, I found this section that consistently let me jump on top of the invisible walls and push me around to the neighboring train. So finally, we can hop off and take a jog in the outskirts of the city. It's not hard to find the end area. The level is pretty easy to follow along, even this far out, but I've sped up the footage as a guide. Also, you probably noticed that we began with 3 AI companions. They don't follow me out of bounds, and they don't seem to be a problem. As you approach the end, an Octanian sentry tower will start shooting at you, but it doesn't hurt anything else, so you don't need to worry about it. Soon after, I reach the dam, and you can either run across it and do a bit of exploring, which is fun since we only ever see it in cutscenes normally, or just run up to the energy gate to activate the boss cutscene and fight, which is what I'm doing. Now we get to fight the final enemy, General Brand, and it's really not too hard on Tourist. Even missing half of our arsenal, he's a pushover. Like Serious Sam 4's final boss, I need to mash the F key as the level ends to see my kill count. I happened to press it just as the screen started to fade out. The timing is pretty exact. If you do it right, rather than going to the stats, the ending and credits will play, and then the statistics screen will show up afterwards. And to my surprise, the kill count was at 0? So does Brand not count as a kill or what? If someone can answer this, I'd love to know. I have 2 guesses as to why this might happen. 1. Maybe since Brand needs to be saved for the long ending cutscene, perhaps the game retains his actor information, and technically keeps him alive even when he's shot in the end? Maybe he doesn't ever actually register as a kill, and it's just animated to look that way without incrementing the counter? Or 2, maybe killing Brand does count, and this statistics screen is from before his death, and the way I got it to show up is just a glitch. Hard to say, but until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to count it as 0. So this is definitely a first, possibly having the final level be pacifist friendly. And it makes those mandatory kills in level 4 even more vexatious now, knowing that without those, this game can actually be beaten without any kills at all. Regardless though, this has been quite the interesting challenge, and the final kill count comes out to 97 out of 5,687. Can you do better? Let me know in the comments if you try a pacifist run. I'd love to hear how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.